Hello, champions! Here I am. It's time for Make Your Move Monday. Monday morning motivation with Coach Tina. I'm so happy you're here. This is day 2 of our series this month for March, Movement March, right? And we need to make our move. So we're going to turn learning into skill sets and hopefully monetize on that because, hey, a lot of us need money, right? Well, if you're watching live, let me know. I'm going to post us into the group right now. And let's see if I can find it. Did not show. Takes it a minute to come in and it's still not showing, so I'm just going to let that go. Hopefully it's getting pinned and all is well. All right, if you don't know me, I am Coach Tina. I am the founder of the Empowering Champions community, and I am super passionate about tools that help you to get to the next level. Now, one of my favorite tools is the work of Tony Robbins, because everything he says and does exemplifies the life that I believe we should all work towards. I think it's refreshing that he grew up in the same hometown that I did. So now that when he tells his stories about his past, I can see myself and I can see, like I know what he had to go through to at 17 decide that he had what he needed within him to go and build the empire that he truly has put together. I think there were 50,000 people at UPW this weekend. I believe he said 126 countries represented. And in those rooms, there were people who had 3 people, people who had 10 people, people who had 20 people watching. How cool is that? So it was more than 50,000. It was just completely mind-blowing that he is reaching so many people around the world, teaching them that the life that they have it doesn't have to just be good or worse. It can be great, and actually it can be outstanding. And just by taking little tiny 2mm tweaks, and it was a great experience. I got through the 4 days. It's a 4-day event. All of my notes are in this notebook as well as in this one, which this is my special first plat notebook. So I decided that I would write my notes in here. And they're not the notes that I did from the event. They're the, what was I thinking? What ideas am I getting? How can I take not just notes like Tony said this, but because Tony said this, what does that mean to my future? And that was amazing. You see, this event, I totally crushed my outcomes. And you can see like front page of my plat book right down here, I wrote my goals for the event. And then I paid attention to my goals during the 4 days, and I was checking them off. I was like, oh my gosh, I am just hitting this out of the park. One of them I'll tell you about because boy, it was so much fun, was I wanted to have the energy to be on the main screen. Right? This is something we practice in the little box in our Zoom room as senior leaders and trainers. We put the energy out into the room. So I knew how to do it, but I wanted to do it in such a way that I was that person that was seen on the screen multiple times. Because when you do these events, there are people that the Zoom ops, people you don't know at all, will pick to highlight and then give that energy over and over again. And so that was my thing. I wanted to do that. So day 1, I was up on the screen. I was so excited. I was wearing a purple shirt from Romania with my big star on it. And so a lot of my friends from inside sent me photos saying, oh, we saw you on the big screen. So that was check 1. Day 2, even though I came in with the same amount of energy, I wasn't featured. And I was like, you know what? I am perfectly happy with having met the energy level, knowing that I was doing the same energy level and not making the big screen. And so I was like, I don't want to say practicing, but I was just like, I am good. I am good. Well, day 3, back up there on the screen. I was loving it. In fact, it was the segment that Tony was doing a lot of our limiting beliefs, and I was on the screen. I was on the screen, center of the screen. Like it had the little boxes out here. I was right there in the center multiple times, like for a long time. They would go to content, go to us on the screens. And so we were putting it out. I was loving it. I have to tell you, because I wasn't loving it because I was getting attention. I was loving it because I knew I was meeting my goals. I was doing what I set out to do. And then the last day, same thing. I got to be up there more. And there, someone even noticed I got a shout out from Scotty because he saw my energy. Like, what the heck? There was so much fun. So if you don't know the Tony world, you have no idea what I'm talking about. Just understand that I set a goal and I work towards making that goal a reality. And then I got to enjoy and celebrate that I was doing that. And in the Tony world, what we like to do is we like to say 1, 2, 3, you rock. And then that person that you're rocking will say 1, 2, 3, I rock. And it was a beautiful experience because it was real time right there happening. It wasn't like I made a goal and then a week from now it's going to come true. It wasn't that I made a goal and I'm going to, do something. Like, for instance, one of the speakers is giving us a 30-day program for working out. Now, interestingly enough, when I was in, not Whistler, but in Sun Valley, it's Tony's personal trainer. And his name is Billy Beck. And he did a presentation to the group in the morning before we started content when we were at Sun Valley. And I was loving his material that he put together. I was like, this is what I need. I understand what he's talking about. This is great. And then he shared that his price, which was way, way low for the offering in this Platte community, was $6,500. And I was like, and it was like for 8 weeks. I'm like, oh, there's no way I can pay that. That is not going to happen. But I felt like, I wish I could do that. So at UPW, he offers a 30-day free program for those of us that want to change our bodies. And I'm like, okay, guess what? Goals I was writing out involved being more in control of my body. In fact, it was one of the limiting beliefs that I got rid of, was that I can't at 59 change the trajectory of my body, because I've known for a while that that's a falsehood, but I didn't know what to replace it with or how to go about doing it. And then when I saw his program where he really talked in detail, I was like, oh, that would be great. And so what did I do when I got up this morning? Of course, I took his day 1 of his program and I did it. And it was hard, but I did it anyway. And I know that I can go up from there. I know that every day I can get in and do some stuff. That's an example of one that's going to take a little bit of time, but it's that same formula. Hopefully you're hearing me, okay? Because you make a goal, you take action on that goal, and you measure progress. Just like I got to see myself on that screen, that was a measurement of the amount of energy I was putting out. My friends sending me pictures, that was evidence that it was indeed happening. So same thing will happen with the Billy Back, and that's exciting, right? Now, other things were put out there. There was a 21-day priming challenge where we prime for 21 days. Well, I'm already doing that in my breath work, the special practice that I've been working on, but I'm not supposed to do my breath work every day. And I'm actually struggling because I love it so much. I want to do it every day. But my thought was I can do it every other day. I can put primine out there, and that would be a nice way to still have that hit of high energy and not do the breath work every day. So that's one of the things they offered. Then there was a beautiful state where we write a letter and read it every day. And I did the letter, reading it every day. The other one was a 10-day health challenge with 10 steps that they want you to take. Now, last night we finished kind of early, and so I went back through my notes and I was like, that's a lot of things. If you know anything about what you need for progress, it's not overwhelm, okay? The progress does not happen from feeling tension and this is too many things and I've already got so much and I have a list of goals that I'm working towards, right? So I had a serious talk with myself about what is my move going to be for March? What is really important? Especially in light of I have a lot of other things and this stuff is still important, stuff I want to do. And so Billy Beck, definitely. The health part, not so much, because I already have incorporated a lot of the things on the list. So it isn't like I'm starting from ground zero and all those things need to be pulled out of my diet. I already have a pretty good detoxed, not as much sugar. I do eat dairy, so I do eat meat. And so I pulled them out at times. I didn't see this huge change in my body by doing that. So my thinking is that's not something I need to do right now. Instead, I want to focus on because you see how there might be conflict there? Like if I'm not eating meat and I'm not doing any proteins from milk sources because I like yogurt in the morning and stuff. Some of the other things they're asking us to do are different to my system. And a workout program is different to my system. And I want the priority to go to the workout system and not have the excuse of I don't have any energy or I don't feel good and instead decide not to do the workout program. So, excuses? No, I don't think so. Checking it internally, not a thing. The 21-day priming, that fits in with the pattern I already have established. So it's going to work in really nicely and add and enhance what I'm trying to achieve. And then I have the 10-day beautiful state. It's already part of my manifesto, right? It's just an addition to my manifesto. So again, just a little tweak, little 2mm shift in my hour of power routine, and I will have a beautiful enhancement to what I already do. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the make your move. Make your move is a thing that Tony says during a UPW, where he will throw his arms up in the air and, well, he'll say, make your move. And some people will do Superman and some people will do like this or I don't know what else, because the only move that matters to me is the victory pose that I like to do. So you guys may see me do this like before the events start and all that. That's my move. That's what I do. I imagine myself being up on top of that mountain and I'm just, breathing in the beauty. Because you all know what it feels like when you reach the pinnacle, when the thing you've been looking for, you've accomplished it and you're just like, yes. And I can't wait in every moment of my life to reach that point where I get to celebrate about it. And when you get to the top of the mountain, a lot of times you see more than you saw before. So you're like, oh, there's another summit for me over there. And there's another place for me to go. And so I get excited when I'm there because then I can see the next place. In fact, at this event, what I saw that I hadn't heard before, because this was probably I think it was like my 6th UPW. But I haven't put in as much focus, concentrated effort as I did in this one. I went into this one of my goals, playing all in, full out, like I knew I needed to do the first time. But the first time I was so nervous about who I was, so reserved in I can't even display in a room all by myself, my full how I feel about life. But I didn't feel that way this time. That's the growth that I've seen. And it was really cool because I was able to hear things I hadn't heard before, like really unique and profound and amazing things, even though the book really hadn't changed that much. The program really hadn't changed that much, but I heard it differently. And you know why? Because I am a completely different person. I'm not the same person I was before. And so this allows me to have a new perspective on the information. I mean, sure, we learned the success formula again. The success formula didn't change, but how I plan to implement it and look at it, completely different. The 6 human needs, of course they didn't change, but now I understand my part in the 6 human needs and how when I'm implementing my goals and my categories for RPM, you might say, or any of the outcomes I'm after, what's that human need that I'm trying to fulfill with this? Can it be met with how I'm trying to do it? Or is there another way for me to get that emotion of having accomplished that top of mountain success moment in an easier, simpler, more fun way, right? It's all these things coming through. And then, of course, we learned state, story, strategy. And guess what, you guys? Yeah, and I'm seeing you guys now, and I'm seeing some comments. Yay. Okay, let me... can you believe I just lost that? Let me bring my sound all the way down so I don't get... There we go. I see Jessica has hearted this. Jessica, thank you, thank you. Oh, good. And you've gone to UPW, and that's amazing. 2001. He was just a baby then, right? That's so cool. State, story, strategy is one of the things that Tony really focuses on. And the idea behind state, story, strategy is you have to be in a good state, which is what I was practicing being there in screen, was energy, full out, like give it your all. That's the state. Because when you're in that place, like when you're super passionate or excited about something and you're telling someone something, you can feel that energy coursing through you. When you're in that place, you can make the best decisions. You can make the most progress. You can do stuff that you can't do when you're, oh my gosh, what am I going to do next? Everything sucks. It's so hard. And you see my body just caving in? Yeah, that's not the place to build a beautiful life. But when you're excited and this could happen and we could do this and blah, 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 that's a state that'll move you. Make your move, right? So Tony likes to teach us that state is everything. Get in state first, and then the story kind of builds itself, right? This is the new chapter you're going to write. This is the rewrite your life in 2026, right? The rewrite your story is not about just making little edits that say, oh, I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to do this a little different. No, you are crumpling up the first paper and you're throwing it aside and you're starting from scratch. And we all know that when we do that, we actually get a better output because we're starting from a place where we're like, okay, I can take all of the stuff from before that was good, but I don't have to like build on it. Okay, case in point, you can remodel a home and it looks good. Like, you know, it can look great even if you start from breaking down everything, but even the walls can come down. And then you start from the, what do they call them? The rafters up, or the basically the wood. Take it down to the post. There's a term that I'm not saying. Hopefully you're putting it in the comments for me. But anyway, there's a difference between a remodeled house and a house that you start from scratch, right? I mean, like if you tell your builder, I want the bedroom to be facing out the back and have, you know, perfectly centered on the river view or whatever it is, and they build that exact blueprint for you. That's a house you've designed. That's a custom built home. When you remodel something, maybe the master's in the front of the house, not in the back. And it doesn't make sense to move it. And you're like, okay, I can live with that master in the front. And so you make compromise. But when you're building a house from scratch, you start with a blank piece of paper and you start to build in, well, I want this kind of a room, and I want this, I want a prayer closet, and I want a pantry I can walk into. I mean, like, you start building things that matter in the version of who you are. And so when we talk our story, we're talking about building this new identity of who you get to become when you're working on the things that you're working on. I heard it multiple times this weekend, and I ingested it very strongly, that the goal isn't about who you're going to become when you reach it. It's who you are along the way as you're getting there, who you're becoming, who are you showing up as. And I love that. So, like, when I went into UPW, there was some level of that I've been beating myself up over the last few months, of thinking that I haven't done much with 6 years of doing Tony Robbins, and I haven't become a multimillionaire business, boss with everything, I don't know. The fact is, I'm looking around, I'm like, I am a multimillionaire. I do have businesses. I don't have the vision, like, the vision in my head is different than what's actual, but it doesn't mean I'm not on the way to it, if that makes sense. So I've been beating myself up for something, and yet so much of what I wanted 6 years ago, I have, and I've made come true. And so I built the foundation, UPW, that first UPW, even though I felt like I haven't put much into action, actually built such a foundation. Even as I was thinking about this community and how I centered it on greatness, and how the way it moved was putting us into goals and working towards our outcomes, I've done a beautiful job of moving us forward. I've done a beautiful job of moving myself forward. And that's what I needed. I needed to have a place where I could grow safely, where I could share what I've learned, where I could build and figure out and try stuff and be like, okay, what about this and what about that? And the really cool thing about UPW this time was that the lessons that I was receiving, I now am equipped to do something even more powerful with them. I took the information before and got started, but now is when I can just be like, oh my gosh, this is going to be incredible. Okay, so what am I talking about, and why does this matter to you? Let me give you an exercise. And we've done variations of this throughout our time together, but something as simple as the extraordinary life exercise. First thing they say is, what does your extraordinary life look like? Well, I always write the best, the biggest, the vision, no limits, everything. I've always done that. I've always had this like really high level vision. And you know what? It's really hard to have that high level vision and to be here and to see this coming into play. It's really hard to see these little tiny steps you have to make to get there. And you know you're doing it, but you're not seeing out here. Well, this time I actually heard Tony say, this extraordinary life exercise is for what you want to have in your life in the next 6 to 12 months. What? He said, what we want to do is get you to the next level. Where you are is here, and the next level is here. What do you need to do in the next time period to become next level you? And then you go to next level. And then you go to next level. And it might not take 6 months at that point. It might take 6 weeks. It might take 6 days. It might take 6 minutes. I don't know. But what I've been trying to do is build 6 years from now, like I did when I started UPW, and I couldn't figure out why it didn't feel like I was making any progress. But the reality is I've been making progress. I just couldn't see it. Kind of like you can't see your kids growing, but then they go away to camp for a week and they come back and you're like, oh my gosh, you've gotten so tall, right? Like, wow. So your action this week is to write the extraordinary life for the next 6 to 12 months. Where do you want to be? We're in March, mid-March. Where do you want to be mid-June? Right? I'm going to be a couple of weeks before my 60th birthday, 3 months from now. I always like to work in the 90s. You can work in the 180 days, go to 6 months. But where do you want to be? And then take a small action. Commit to a small action when we're done that you're going to do for sure. Do it no matter what. Whatever this, it can be the smallest possible action, but do it. And then what is an action, a larger action towards living your extraordinary life? It can be in any area. You know, we're focusing on finance this month, but we're focusing on finance for the discipline, for the consistency, for the doing the things that get your life organized so you can have the money that you're meant to have. You got to open the bank account before you can put money in it, right? And so that's what this time period is about in the Make Your Move in my world, is how do we get the structure built so that we can support the rest of it. And so we're going to take that small action, something doable, something that motivates you, and then we're going to dream about a larger action that we know that we know that we know that we will get done this week. Because you will give it that attention, you will give it that emotion that says this is important to me. And then you will just chip away at it, doing that thing. And I want you to report in here. Let us know. I would love to hear. Would love to hear. All right. Okay, so if I look at what I wrote on that list, right? Like, what is important to me in the next 3 to 6 to 12 months? Well, it's things that have been in my manifesto. Some of you were following last month. If you didn't, we still have that whole manifesto series that you have access to. If you don't, just write manifesto in the comments and I'll get you the link. But the manifesto stuff is basically helping me to create a compelling future. And for me, that compelling future means using my skills, talents, and abilities, my greatness, if you will, to do the thing that God has highlighted for me time and time again in my life, and that is working with teenagers. I gave it up for a while because I was like, I'm not so strong in this area. Even though I ran away from it. And then God was just like, hello, this is what I need you to be doing. And so when he introduced me to breath work, and I got super excited about it, I saw the benefit for me, right? When I shared it with my team of people that we were helping with teenagers, they were like, Tina, you're meant to bring this to teenagers. And I was like, you're right. Like, I see myself, when I'm doing the breath work, I have these visions of the future. And one of them was helping thousands of people. And I know that those thousands need to be teenagers, like my daughter's friend, even though she wasn't a teenager. She didn't get the support she needed as a teenager. So that fast forward 10 years, and she believes that she can't make a difference enough in her life if she stays around. And she committed suicide. And I can't have the people I love, the people I don't even know, when I hear about teenage suicide and people taking their lives, it just crushes me. We have to live in a place where a compelling future drives us so strongly that we don't give up, that we see that we are the integral part of all of it. Like, what good is it to work hard if you don't have a future that you can see? So, the best version of me moved forward this weekend by taking a step in that direction. And I'd been holding back. I'd been thinking that maybe because of all of the stuff that I'm doing and all the travel that's going to happen this year, that Africa was not an option for me this year. But yet there's a place in my heart that was like, no, Africa is definitely needs to be part of that list in order to be the best version of myself and be true to my heart and where I need to be taking things. And so I bought my tickets. Yes, I'm going, even though it was a lot more with the change in gas prices and everything than it was before the Iran conflict. But I did it anyway, because if my manifesto sees me making a difference in the lives of thousands of teens, thousands of people, and I don't take the steps to do that, how demotivating is that? How backwards feeling will that be? And I don't want to live that life. In this new story that I'm writing, money comes to me easily. It flows to me with grace. And so knowing that, I can make choices from the identity of someone who does what they're meant to do, not fears that I'm doing the wrong thing to get there, or I'll make a misstep, or I'll do this or whatever. I am leaning full in. I am having full faith. I am living life the way that I believe my story gets to be. Like, I'm writing the story, and the story is I'm going to Africa in 20 days, you guys. I'm super excited. I get to be with my chosen family of coaches that have a heart for teenagers and that are doing things to change the world, literally. And I can't wait to get there, share my breath work with those teenagers, share my breath work with the coaches, get to go on another safari because that was super cool. This year we're bringing in an elephant orphanage piece. So I don't know what we get to do. We may get to hold a little baby elephant. I'm so excited. So it's going to be amazing. And it is literally the move that I'm making this month. This is movement month. Now I have something else that's really exciting, but I'm going to share it next week when we hit the third S of our 3-week program, which is strategy. So your job, remember, is to write out your extraordinary life on the short term and pick a short-term action you're going to take right after this and a long-term action that you're going to take this week. And then one more thing I want to tell you about. One of my big moves that I took even before I went into UPW was I signed up to do an event tomorrow for my breathwork. My goal is to do one event a month on a big platform, either 2 people in person or online in person, and with people on the other end of the screen. And so I am doing what we call in the platinum world PI. It's a mastermind of platinum partners in between events. And every week we get together and we talk and we help each other. And then the next hour is someone sharing their zone of genius. So I already committed to sharing my breath work with that group. And today at noon, I am going to be practicing it on a live Zoom. So if there's anybody watching that would like to be in my practice session, would love to have you there. There's some sound issues that I'm trying to perfect, and I don't want to do that in front of, say, 30 people tomorrow. I want to have that worked out. My husband has been my guinea pig. He's been lovely in working that out with me, but I want to make sure that the system as I have it set up today, everything in place. So if you're up for a 12 o'clock, which it's 12 o'clock Central, so in Eastern time, if you're looking at your clock, it would be 1 p.m. All right, would love to have you do that. Just put breathwork practice in the comments, and I will send you a link in just a few minutes. I went longer than expected today, but what do you think? I just had the most amazing 4 days, and life will never be the same again. And so I wanted to share that with you. I'm wishing you the best week ever, and I'll see you next Monday for sure.